few weeks from the nomination to the appeals, the court processes, the payments, all the rising issues to do with elections, the campaigning, the democratic processes in Zimbabwe. What can you say as an aspiring leader of Zimbabwe ahead of the 2023 general elections?
So I think everyone knows that our political party is relatively new. We're 2 years old. In fact, we just celebrated 2 years, and at that celebration we rolled out our party manifesto. But we're a serious political party, and so everything we've been doing for the past 2 years has been leading up to this election. We wanted to have that opportunity to stand and represent Zimbabwe. We've got candidates at all levels of government, councillors, we've got MPs, and of course a presidential candidate. And so 21st of June was the day we were all expecting to finally be able to officiate our, the mandate we've been given by the citizens to represent them in their constituencies, the citizens that are members of our party throughout this country and throughout the world, Zimbabweans who have chosen us as their leaders. But unfortunately it was very disappointing. 73% of our candidates did not make it onto the ballot, and I was one of them. And as we speak today, there are 29 cases exactly that are still pending in court. Today we were vindicated in my case, and I'm very grateful and thankful that justice has taken its course. But I can say that we've got major issues in our electoral system. The process for me was that I went into court with paperwork in order. Our Secretary General delivered all of the signatures, all of the paperwork. It was approved. And then we paid on the day of nomination court, but we were told that our payment was rejected. That's not okay. It's having gone through all this, having more than 9 candidates being males in the ballot papers and the nominations that have already been approved, in being the first and probably the second woman who has stood up to contest in this election, while you understand that Linda Masarra also was rejected. What can you say in terms of gender equity, gender balance, gender parity in Zimbabwe? In Zimbabwe, in this electoral system, there is no gender parity. There's no equality for women. I can say that with certainty. As you look at the ballot right now, 11 men, there were 0 women until today. Myself, Linda Masarra, we've been fighting for the opportunity to be represented in this election. For us to be able to contest on the 23rd of August, was that opportunity was denied. And partly because of the extremely high fees that were charged by the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. Most women who maybe would have wanted to contest would not even be able to come up with the fee that was required. But then you also look at the MP candidates. They were required to pay $1,000. Most people can't afford that. So if we want a truly democratic space and we want to have equal representation from women, as has been called for in our constitution, then we need to ensure that we make this electoral process free and fair. We need to make sure that everyone is given that opportunity to stand and to contest.
Let's talk of numbers. What can you say about numbers? Your party, you've got ZANU-PF, you've got Sevia Kasukwere coming in, we have got the Triple C. Isn't it a game of numbers? Elections. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a game of numbers when it comes to elections, and every candidate is vying for the vote, right? We want to make sure we have the majority. I'm going to have to deliver a majority vote to win the presidential seat. And I think if you look at the historic perspective of our elections, people haven't turned up to vote. They've not had confidence in the candidates that are represented on the ballot. They've not actually seen in the candidates someone who stands for them, who represents them. I will stand for the citizens of Zimbabwe. I will fight for the citizens of Zimbabwe to have a better life, a fair life that gives them access to what they are supposed to get as ordinary citizens. So at the end of the day, I do hope that we will see the numbers that we expect to have as the United Zimbabwe Alliance. Let's ensure that this election we have a very different win, a win that will truly change Zimbabwe, with a very different leader as well as a different government. We've got candidates in 60 constituencies. Again, most of them in other constituencies were actually rejected. But please vote for UZA candidates and give them the opportunity to represent you.
You spoke about the integrity of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. Well, this was the nomination part. let's talk of the counting of votes.
We are all looking, I mean, we've, as UZA, been preaching since the very beginning, register to vote, turn up to vote, defend UZA votes. And that is because we know from the very beginning that it's an uneven playing field. First of all, we've got to have representation at all the polling stations. To date, we actually are still waiting for maps with regards to the boundaries, and people are still trying to figure out where they're going to vote. I am happy as a presidential candidate. I should be able to receive the voters' roll now. I'm going to request that from the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, but it's still a major challenge because we know that going into this election, people are already saying, why bother voting because the vote might be rigged. I say to Zimbabweans, turn up to vote in large numbers and make sure that you are counted. There's no way you can rig an election where the citizens actually turn up in good enough numbers. So just send a message loud and clear that you want a new government, you want new leadership, and you will see that regardless of what is being done behind the scenes, Zimbabwe's future will change.
Thank you very much.